Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show, Traveling Road Show edition up here in the Pacific Northwest. Still taking a deep dive into Arizona real estate, but not without my coffee. Good morning. Interesting. I'm going to talk about taking control of your listing and taking control of your home buying process. Saw some comments that made me kind of triggered something up here in this little head of mine, and then we're going to roll through some actual numbers, Arizona data. Interesting quick story. Supposed to go over to Puyallup, Washington today. It's about 2.5 hours from here to help my brother pick up a fifth wheel RV that he's purchasing, but he needs a new hitch that goes inside the bed of his truck. So he ordered one from Seattle and expecting it yesterday. The delivery guy gets to a town called Squim, which is where I'm at, about 12 miles from my brother's house. And he calls dispatch and leaves a message. He says, "There's too much traffic in Squim. I'm coming back to Seattle." Now, Squim's a town of about 15,000 people. What are the odds of them having too much traffic? So my brother called BS on that one. So we're waiting today to see if he's going to show up. You don't have a traffic jam in Squim. I'm sorry. So if he shows up today early enough, we're heading over to help him get that rig. Should be fun. So what is this? Get control of your listing. So I saw, and this was on another YouTube page, YouTube channel. A guy made a comment that said realtors always jack up the prices to get a higher commission. Let's cut into that just a little bit, shall we? First of all, how can I jack up the price without your permission? In other words, there's a form that has to be filled out that's called, you're accepting the price. There's a listing form. We agree on the price. I don't go home, take white it out, and jack it up so I can make more commission. Nobody does that. Now, you should be sitting with your real estate agent and talking and looking at comps together and saying, well, where do we think this house falls in the middle of those comps that we're looking at? And you should have a pricing strategy. I've talked about this often. In other words, a lot of people call a handful of agents and they pick the one that comes in and gives them the highest price. Then they accuse them of jacking up the price to get a higher commission. The reality is there are real estate agents out there that will give you a higher price just to get your listing because that's what you're looking for. You want the person that's going to come in and say, oh, it's worth this. And some of them, quite frankly, are just going to agree to that so they can get the listing in the hopes that you'll eventually come around and lower the price realistically. Then they'll get a commission. They'll sell the house. Because we all know price is what sells the house. If you don't think so, mark your house down to $5 and see how many offers you get. You'll get a ton. So price is always the issue. But real estate agents don't sit at home and go, how can I jack this price up? If you have a broker's tour where all kinds of real estate agents are on a bus and they're going around looking at different houses, and then they fill out the little feedback form, you don't see any that say, I think you should ask more for this house. In reality, most homes are put on a broker tour because it hasn't been selling. And so the listing agent wants to put it on the tour and get opinions from other agents. Why isn't the house selling? 95%, if not more, of the comments say you may need to lower the price. Now, if real estate agents were trying to jack up the price to get more commission, wouldn't they say, well, I would ask more for the house? They don't. And if you jack up the price to get more commission, it's really not that much in your paycheck, folks. And so Sean here is asking the question and says, I'm likely to sell in September timeframe and rates might be lowered or might not. If rates are not lowered at that time, do you suggest holding off and putting it on the market? There's a lot of things swimming around the soup right now, Sean, that makes September kind of hard to answer. And one of it is just this fact that the Treasury has to raise $1 trillion in bond sales to replenish the Treasury because of the debt ceiling was suspended for a while. Not suspended. We were approaching that, so they couldn't borrow. Now they have to hurry up and borrow. So, man, it could go either way. We could either end up with some kind of a credit crunch, or by September, central bank could say, ooh, not only are we going to pause, we might have to do a little bit of quantitative easing to keep the banks from collapsing. That's a real outside scenario. So I think, you'll certainly know more by August, Sean. It's always, um, well, I'll show you some numbers here and we'll see what we can come up with. But getting back to listing your home, you are in control of everything. Your agent is there to help you manage through the minefield of regulations. In other words, all the forms, all of the deadlines, ensuring that if the buyer doesn't comply, that you get to keep the earnest money if they violate terms of the contract. Making sure that the buyer is qualified, not just somebody that shows up and they think you can buy your home. You got to read the pre-qualification form, call the lender, make sure this person's credit worthy, go forward, manage the inspection period. This is where most deals go to die. You can get your price. Agent can negotiate a great price, or you just happen to get lucky on a great price. But it's the negotiations during the repair process that are usually where deals hit their demise. And you're in control of that. So in other words, you're going to have a buyer that's going to be requesting several things to be fixed. You're in control to say yes or no. The agent will advise you, well, I recommend you fix this because guess what? The next person that comes in and gives you an offer in your house, they're going to want you to fix that. So, but you're driving the bus, folks. Now, determining how much you're going to repair or not repair really depends on the market conditions. If it's a brisk market and there's more buyers than there are sellers, chances are you don't have to fix as many things as they're asking for, so you can pare back. If it's a soft market, you're probably going to have to pony up and fix just about everything on that darn list. But having a conversation with your agent about where the market is and what to do still all boils down to what you want to do. We'll just advise you. Now, as far as realtors jacking up prices, that's statistically impossible. I can't get a hold of 50 people in Phoenix and say, hey, you want to attend my morning coffee on my real estate manipulation meeting? We're going to jack up prices in Chandler. Doesn't happen. It's not realtors jacking up prices. It's buyers willing to pay more because there aren't as many homes. So I wanted to dispel that little myth. Now, if you're a buyer, what kind of control do you have? How much power do you have? Well, obviously, you don't want to abuse the agent and every weekend give them a list of 20 homes you want to see and go out a month and go, I'm going to go with Realtor Bob over here. So that's a problem. But you have the power of the offer price. Have you ever noticed when you ask an agent and you go, how much should I offer on this? They never give you an answer. You know why? Because we can be sued. So let's say you look at a house and I go, I'd offer them 450 and they rejected it. Well, whose fault is that? You're going to blame me. Rick said offer 450 and they rejected it. They wouldn't even consider it. So agents don't say an offer price. Agents can say, well, and if you do have an agent saying, well, here's what I would offer him, be careful. What they're probably going to say is, well, what are you comfortable with? Well, I'd like to really come in and lowball them. Well, in this market right now, we have more buyers than we have listings, so that might not work. I can do that. I can write that lowball offer and we can see what happens. For example, our client had down in Maricopa going after an open door home. I said, sure, I'll write that lowball offer. Let's see what they say. Odds are they're probably not going to take it. But all right, is that what you want me to do? You want me to write it? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. See what happens. So they call me back. They go, well, we're a little far off here, Rick. What do you think? I said, well, we might come back for a second round. We did that for 6 months. Finally got a good price. But the buyer was in control. I wasn't. What do you want to offer him this time? Okay, let's do that. So don't let go of your power as a client, especially on the listing side. If you want to wait until Monday to review all offers, you can. There's no hard and fast rule. Agents send you a listing or a contract that says, this is only good till 6 p.m. Sunday night. So what? It doesn't mean at 6 p.m. Sunday night they're walking away. I mean, some of them might. They might go, well, I haven't heard back from them. I'm going back. But you can say, well, I'm not looking at these until Monday at 5. You can do that. You can say, I'll look at it Wednesday at 3 p.m. when I'm off work. All of that is completely and totally up to you. So I hope that gives you a little power if you're considering listing your home and or buying a home. So let's take a look here at some of the numbers here. I got to get my mouse to cooperate. It's I had to go buy a new mouse, and it was kind of giving me some fits. The other one would just literally disappear. So, but here we are today with the Cromford Market Index. And Drake here says, "Good morning. Are you seeing appraisals coming in low? I have to list next week, and I'm worried about that." They have been. The past couple of appraisals, I guess I can mark them as lazy. They came in low for all the wrong reasons. In other words, they were looking at homes that weren't even in the subdivision. This subdivision was much nicer. So if you're going to comp, in Paradise Valley and you use South Scottsdale as comps, then, that's not a very good comparison. So they're on the edge. They're not, I would say, statistically coming in low all the time, but they were for a while, because remember when prices were coming down like 17%, appraisers were getting a little jittery. So they were putting comments in there, a little checkbox, declining market. Well, that's in the rearview mirror now. We're not in a declining market. So I wouldn't expect it. And this is one of the reasons why. You look here at the Cromford Market Index and look at that. You got Chandler at 283.2. So anything over 110 is considered a great market for sellers. And the only person that's close to 110 is Queen Creek at 115.3. They have a lot of new construction down there, as does Maricopa and Buckeye. Those three right there. You have all the new builds. That's what's keeping the Cromford Market Index lower than other cities. Glendale at 269. Fountain Hills surprisingly at 261. I say that because closer you get to summer, the more things slow down out there. And but they're doing well. Stephanie here says it's a struggle to decide to place your home on the market when you have 3.2 interest loan, even though you need to sell a condo and buy a single family home. Rate lock is a real thing. I don't care what expert you see talking about real estate. That's the number one reason that they say new inventory is not showing up. It's rate lock. I'm sitting at 3.2. Do I want to go to 7? No, I don't. Will I eventually want to move? Yes. We're starting to see some more new listings. So I'll show you in a moment here and tell you why. And here's our active listings now. You can see they're down at week 22, week 2020, week 22 levels. And this is after we had the big dip here. Remember, inventory came flying up and then it came down. This was 2 weeks flat in the curve right here. And then down we went with the inventory and kept going down, 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 and got down to 5201. Actually got lower than that, 4460. And now we're at 10,724. Now they count a little bit differently on the Cromford report than I do on my 7-day moving average. As you can see here, the blue line is new listings coming on. The red line is new contracts. That dip, Memorial Day. We're coming back up to our baseline, which is about 3,000 new contracts. And you can see the blue line starting to come down a little bit. So that just means that new listings went up just a hair, because this is the time of year when people put their home on the market so they can close and move before school reopens again. They're either moving somewhere in the valley or they're moving out of state. So last part of May, early part of June, we start seeing a little bit more listings as people get ready to move. And how far does this inventory drop? It's dropping at 7% rates. Who knows? I mean, this is the first time that we've ever had to. There's several factors in play. One, it's the first time ever that the Fed has had to pull back from such astronomical spending. I mean, the amount of money that was injected into the system and rates being at 2.5 to 3.0, that's never happened, ever. In fact, somebody asked me on my channel last year, I bought a house at 3. When do you think rates are going to be 2.5? I go, not in your lifetime. It's just not going to happen. So demographically, the largest holders of homes are baby boomers. And so they refinance. They were thinking about, I got a 4-bedroom house. Maybe I should downsize. Wait, I've got a kind of a low dollar amount that I owe on my house right now. Why don't I refinance it at 2.75%? Guess what? Your payment is nothing. Yeah, you've got a lot of equity, but you know, that equity is only there once you sell your house. And quite frankly, there's people out there that bought in 2022 and got a really low rate, and they probably have negative equity. So it's a paper loss, but it's not a real loss until you sell it. But they can ignore their paper loss and wait it out because they're very comfortable with their payment. It's a very low interest rate, so they're going to stay put. And so, we could be in this 6% range for a long, long time, but we don't know. And over time, listings will start showing up. Somebody made a comment a couple of days ago saying, well, there's 60 million seniors that are eventually going to have to put their home on the market. Well, not anytime soon. I mean, we still got a good 15, 20 years left in us. So if you want to wait for that, you could be waiting a long time. And Sean says, if the inventory drop stays consistent by September, will we be in the 7,000s? Highly possible, Sean, if it continues this trend. I mean, you look at that. If we were just to do straight trend analysis, yeah, we'll be down here, 7,000 right there. Could happen. I hope not. I'm not a big fan of bidding wars, so I hope not. In 2021, I called that the silly season, and so not a big fan. But look at this. Here's another look at it, which is year to date. This is new listings, year to date daily. Look at how it's so far below where we were at the same time the past couple of years. New listings in 22 were 52,139 at this time. Now we're at 37,000. And Lisa, good morning from Sun Lakes. Glad to have you. Get up here. Months of supply. It's going down, folks. 1.4. And, you used to hear normals 4 to 6. It's hard to use the word normal in real estate anymore. So 1.4, though, is pretty low. And you can see that on the chart. Now, when we got in the silly season here that I just mentioned, we're down like, not even a month, 2 weeks supply of homes. So that was pretty dismal. So that was bad. Well, then interest rates spiked up and doubled in a short period of time, and everybody put their homes on the market. We ended up here, almost what we consider normal. That's why I kind of laughed at some of the YouTubers that I saw that said, inventory's up 150%. The end is near. And I'm like, well, in order to get up to normal, it has to climb by 350%. So I'm not going to wig out over 150% increase. And then the other headline I saw the other day from one of our favorite alarmists said, investor traffic in Arizona and Phoenix down 60%. Good. You all want that, right? That's not a leading indicator that we're about to have a problem. That tells you they already left. They went to other states. So that's not a problem. That's an indication that they found better markets because they think there's more appreciation coming in other cities, perhaps more bargains to find. Also, keep in mind that the majority of that investor traffic was iBuyers, Open Door, OfferPad, and they've dialed it back, folks. They're not playing as hard and fast as they used to. They did. Ask Lisa here. Lisa did really well with Open Door. I mean, I honestly think she caught them right at the top of their, let me be kind here, right at the top of their exuberance. And just really, you got that? So, I'm in this small town up here, like I say, I'm in Squim. It's got, I think, 15,000 people. I have to look it up. Port Angeles, about 12 miles from here, it's got 20 to 25,000 people. And I talked to a couple friends of mine, real estate agents in town. They only have 53 listings. At one time, get this, during the shortage, they had 6. I said, how many agents you got here? He goes, 83. How do you make money? He goes, well, you got to make sure you're in the top 10. That's for sure. But they only have 53 listings for 83 agents. Now, Squim, where I'm at, beautiful area, a retirement community, and they have 135 listings. So you can make a living up here, but I just thought that was wow. I'm glad I'm not trying to make a living up here. And Sean, how come you don't have a YouTube channel? Nobody up here has a YouTube channel. He said there were these two agents that started a YouTube channel once, and they went to a house and they walked around with their cameras and they were just tearing it apart. Oh, look at this. This is terrible. They're asking too much for. Well, you have to get permission if you're going to do that. So they got their hands slapped. They no longer have a channel. Hey, talking about debt ceiling, get this. This is JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon tells lawmakers, get rid of the debt ceiling. You may recall the past couple of weeks, I've said, what is a debt ceiling? I mean, it's just kind of a made up ceiling, isn't it? So he's just saying, get rid of it. Said Dimon said the debt ceiling is an unmitigated disaster and that Congress should get rid of it. And he spoke to reporters and applauded him for approving a compromise early in the week to avoid a potential default. So the debt ceiling is a number that says, okay, Congress, you're only allowed to spend this much. That's it. Cutting you off after that. And as we approached it, we had to borrow less and less because we're about to run out of money. But we've raised that debt ceiling now 79 times. So is it really a debt ceiling? So if you're going to behave that way with a debt ceiling, then, quit pretending, just get rid of it. But I think before you get all carried away in raising our debt, wouldn't it be a great idea if we would just cut back on spending? And they're not willing to do that. So that is going to hurt us in the credit markets. That's what you're starting to see now. You're starting to see that the government has to borrow so much money to stay solvent that there's less and less of that available for you and me. We're going to have some tightening credit in the banking system. And if the banks go out and buy all these treasuries that are paying their 1-year treasuries paying 5.25%, and then the Fed jacks rates up again, then the value of their bonds go down, more banks get in trouble. So this is really, back to your very first question, Sean, an interesting time to watch going through the summer. What's going to happen? The 80% of the people, investors surveyed, think there's going to be a 0.25 basis points hike in June. I think I saw this morning, which seems high to me because they're not showing any indication that on how they're trading. We see interest rates haven't moved in a week and a half. So, but I know that maybe the 0.25 is already baked in there. But I think you're going to see the pause, which they're now calling a not a pause, but a skip. We're going to skip this rate increase. That's unusual because they meet every 13 weeks. So if they meet once a month, but if they skip one in June, are they going to put another one in July? That's not enough time to see the data. So we'll see what happens. So, Gustavo, sorry, I almost missed this. Would you recommend a family member to buy now or maybe use 2-1 buy down? Hopefully refinance drop like Barry says. We're going to Barry on the 19th. Let me ask him that. Let me ask him his opinion of the 2-1 buy down and what are the odds. I'm only comfortable with the 2-1 buy down, Gustavo, if somebody else is paying for it. So in other words, if the seller finances that for you, by all means, jump in with both feet. But if it's a tight market and the buyer doesn't have to give you closing cost concessions, you're going to have a hard time getting them to pay for that. So, but I would not do it on my own. They're kind of expensive. But if and then where a rate's going to be ahead of time, I don't know. I don't. The 2-1 buy down at least qualifies you for the higher rate, so you don't have that risk that it ends up being a very toxic loan later down the road. But you have to kind of do the math and go, okay, if this costs me $9,000 and then rates go down in 6 months, do I just piss that $9,000 away and go ahead and refinance? That's a lot easier decision to make if you got the seller to pay for it. And Stephanie's one of those newly minted seniors. Well, happy birthday. It doesn't hurt, does it? And you're not going to a care center anytime soon, right, Stephanie? I mean, these people that are saying that inventory, it's called the silver tsunami. Did you know that? That means that all of us guys are going to end up in a home and our homes are going to be on the market and you're all going to be just salivating, waiting to buy it. When the dirty little secret is none of our kids want our houses. In fact, there's an old saying in the senior community that says, they all want my money. None of them want my China. I am a senior certified expert in real estate. It's a certification. It actually doesn't mean diddly squat, but it lets you put it down on your business card if you want to. But that's one of the things we learned. Everybody wants my money. Nobody wants my silver. So I hope you got a little bit of advice today on how to take control of your listing and take control of your buying journey. If you have any questions, shoot me an email at rick@rickhelps, and be sure and smash that like button. And you can also smash the dislike button. But if you do, tell me what you didn't like. I always see one or two out there that are like this. I was like, well, what didn't you like? Just me? Was my lighting bad? I got spinach in my teeth. So tell me what you didn't like about it. And also, I have a weekly newsletter where I keep you up to speed every Monday at 7 a.m. Kind of fun to look at. So take a look at that. And Reinhardt, Jane here says, isn't Squim the one city which is a shadow mountain, so it doesn't get much rain like the rest of the area? I think Squim is where I saw a tumbleweed roll across the road in 1995. I don't know about the tumbleweeds, but yes, we're in what's called the rain shadow. They call it the banana belt of the Olympic Peninsula. You get 15 to 17 inches of rain a year. The rain comes in from the ocean and immediately hits the Olympic Mountains. That's why we have a rainforest there that gets 12 feet. Yes, I said feet of rain a year. And Stephanie, you're just a spring chicken. I'm right behind you. And then it goes around the bend, kind of the Port Angeles, and they get about 45 inches of rain a year. But then you just have this little wind convection here that keeps Squim relatively dry. So they have a lot of farming here, but they have to have irrigation to have farming. So, in fact, now you're starting to see the lavender start to bloom. And so all the fields out behind me here are all going to be purple here in probably about 5 weeks. Going to look pretty cool. So you can come up here and go to the Lavender Festival in July. So exciting times to be held by all in Squim. Well, everybody have a great midweek. Take care. I will see you live on Friday with Pat, What's My Rate McMasters at 3 o'clock. Take care.